Hey folks, this is Dre of Recovery One Drones. Just got back in California from the Vegas drone meetup. Had a great time, but like I always say, information is king. And what they did at the Vegas drone meetup is put together a very informative panel of individuals who can give you information. And I always say, get it from the horse's mouth about what's going on in the drone industry. What are some of the alternatives of getting your drone repaired and fixed? And also some other programs that may interest you that you want to get involved in. So this is about an hour-long video. So get yourself a snack, a cold drink, and sit back and enjoy and find out exactly what's going on. Hang on. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Everybody remember to charge your batteries, okay? Hi, I'm Tom, co-chair of the Vegas Drone Meetup, along with my co-chair Bob Dempsey, okay? We have hopefully a real great day in front of us here. We know we had a wonderful time yesterday, and we want to thank all of you that participated in the workshops, and we definitely want to thank the folks who ran the workshop, so thank you very much. That was a great addition to our event this year. Now, today we're going to have a panel discussion, and we want you to continue enjoying your breakfast, but we want to be able to talk about community, insight, connection, you know, from hobbyists to innovators, to advocates, and to service providers. It's a very diverse community, and that works for us. Okay? I want to start by introducing members on our panel. I want to start with Greg Revidu, Pilot Institute co-founder, certified flight instructor, and a leader in drone training and education. Bob Dempsey, founder of Old Sparks for Drones, my co-chair, a drone enthusiast, a community advocate, and by the way, once this is over, he's going to be wearing a red suit. Wayne Vega, DJI Client Engagement Director, career first responder, who has seen firsthand the positive impact of drones within public safety and how we leverage them out here in the community. Desiree Exine, drone diva, founder of On The Go Video, dedicated to advancing education, safety, and inclusion in the UAS community. Deb Andrews, Metro Las Vegas Police Fusion Team and founder of Lady Droners, an advocate for inclusion and mentorship in the drone community. Jose Figueroa, owner, Drone Doctor, providing comprehensive solutions for drone enthusiasts, professionals alike, and both locally and across North America. Vaughn Hyatt, retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, and owner of Drone Video Productions, LLC, STEM education facilitator and co-founder of the Southern Nevada Association of Drone Service Providers. One more big hand for the entire panel here. Thank you. So, let's start this discussion and talk about the elephant in the room. Okay? It's not which one. It actually impacts all of us, right? We know what's happening right now. I'm going to give Wayne the mic in a minute, but a couple of things I just want to frame. You know, DJI's departure and the vacuum it kind of leaves in our environment here in the U.S. market. I don't think that's a voluntary departure, by the way. The impact it's going to have on the hobbyists, small businesses, and service providers. The potential for new U.S. or international manufacturers to step up, and what's going to be the long-term effects on affordability, repair, and training. And I'd like to turn the mic over to Wayne to give us his view.
Hold on, let me take a deep breath so that I have enough oxygen for all of it. So, my apologies if this is going to be a little long, but there's so much to it. Elephant in the room is pretty apt. So, let me start with first, DJI is committed to the U.S. market. We're committed to you, our customers, and appreciate the loyalty that you've given us for so long. We're fighting hard to continue to let you have the freedom of choice of product in the U.S. But of course, yes, there's several issues, and I don't know whether to take them alphabetically or chronologically. So let me start with, first of all, the National Defense Authorization Act of 2025, signed in 2024. That's the one that, and I also have to preface, there's so much confusion in all of this, and I understand why, because there's so many moving parts. But with that NDAA Act, there was Section 1709 that called for a data security audit of foreign drones, DJI named specifically, to be conducted and finished by December 23rd. But there were some trapdoors in that. One, there was never any agency named to do that security audit. And who's going to take on work that's not assigned to them, right? And then we had some unintended delays. We had a change in presidency, and that causes a lot of delays there for nobody's fault. But then another trapdoor was, if this is not completed by that date, DJI would be, through no fault of our own and no finding of sorry, I don't want to blast everybody out. I talk kind of loud sometimes. So another trapdoor was that we would be placed on the FCC's list automatically, again, no fault of our own, but through, and with no finding of any issues, we would be on that list. Now, as it's written, that meant no new products could be introduced into the U.S. by DJI. But then something recently came up, and I'll address that here in a second, but let me just say, here we are, it's October, and I don't want to be putting November. I don't even, honestly, I wake up sometimes, I don't know where I'm at. So, I don't want to be putting any of the sugar on it, but here we are in November. The government is shut down, and so there is an issue with it being done in a timely and fair manner. So the request that we're making, and we're urging you all to make that have an interest in this, is that there be an extension. We're not asking that the audit not be done. In fact, the opposite. We want to see it done as well. We've been audited numerous times and been found to have no data security issues. We're confident that we would pass this audit as well. So we want it to be done timely and fairly. But again, there is no time we feel like left for that to be done. So if we can get a 1-year extension, that would be great. The other issue that leads into this, and where some confusion comes, is that in the last couple of weeks, the FCC 0 to 3 voted themselves the ability to retroactively place products on their covered list. So that raises the potential that products that we have already introduced in the market that are already bought and sold could be placed on the covered list and not allowed to be sold the FCC has come out and said we're not looking to take away drones, but that would mean we would not be able to still sell those products. We don't really foresee that happening. Some good things to that is it would not be a comprehensive, placement of products on the covered list. It would be product by product. There would be opportunities for public comment, so you would still have an opportunity for your voice to be heard. But again, the big concern is, if we have the Mini 15 or the Avata 6 come out, it would unfortunately not be available in the U.S. market, which is unfortunate for all of you in the U.S. So again, we're pushing for this not to happen, and then along with all of this, there has been a lot of confusion about supply chain, and we have not exited the market in the U.S. We are working through issues with U.S. Customs being able to bring products into the market right now. We still are, if you have Care Refresh on your products, we are still honoring Care Refresh. It is not that we are not honoring Care Refresh, it's we are not continuing to sell it because we don't want to offer a service that, because of supply chain issues, we may not be able to fulfill. So please, again, understand the confusion there as well. So much going on. We've got all these moving parts. Please understand right now there is not a ban on DJI products. There is not a ban on being able to use DJI products. You can still continue, and we don't see there being a future ban on your current owned products. Just our ability to bring new products into the U.S. market. So I want to alleviate all those concerns. I'm not trying to speak for the U.S. government. I just want to speak to alleviating your concerns. So I don't know if I've covered everything, but
You pretty much have. Well, one thing I wanted to mention is Section 1709 of the U.S. Code requires that the audit be conducted, okay? We, as a community here, and it's why we get together, is to try to enforce that we need to have a voice. We need to be the ones asking for that extension. So if you get the opportunity, I would venture over, check out Vic Moss, just put up a YouTube video about this very subject and what we need to do, okay, in reaching out to our legislators to try to get that extension in place, but not just put the extension in place, identify a responsible agency to conduct that. Like you said, nobody's going to take on work right now, okay? We know that with the shutdown, but after the shutdown, we need somebody to get into that. Now, the other thing about it is this audit is what that word audit means, to review. And we hope that it finds a couple of issues that can then be addressed. But they have to be allowed to be addressed, okay? But that audit should be conducted on every company across the board, regardless of where the origins of that product comes from. Okay, my identity was stolen by a US company, okay? So it doesn't matter who, what, or where. Cybersecurity is important and it needs to be a level playing field. Now, with this going on, Greg, how does this affect new pilots coming into, our community? There's got to be some trepidation.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And before I go into this, I want to add to what Wayne said. If you go back and look at the FCC vote that just happened, the 3-0 vote that they just passed, this was not because of DJI. This was because of Huawei, which is a telecom company that has been caught doing bad things, unlike DJI, and they were trying to prevent them from doing bad things going forward. And so they voted to be able to retroactively remove these models that may be coming into the market that they don't want to see in the market because they know that they're not good. And so a lot of folks online jumped on that and said, oh, DJI is going to get banned. We're not there yet. There hasn't been any proof yet that DJI has done anything. And number two, this vote was not about DJI. So could they go back and ban these models? Yeah, maybe, but are they really going to do this? Like Wayne said, they're not going to take drones away from consumers. The Huawei thing, which is telecom equipment, is used by government agencies, is used by large corporations. Drones are completely different ballgame. So I would not be worried about that part. I'd be more worried about not being able to get them through customs. I think that's a bigger issue at the moment than anything else.
But Greg, now, the FCC situation, and you know, if you look on Facebook, unfortunately, you think the sky is falling, okay?
Yeah.
And everybody's taking an opportunity to say how, you know, they're not going to be able to use their drones are going to be bricked. The FCC technologically doesn't have an option to block those frequency ranges in the spectrum.
No, this is the same spectrum that you use for your Wi-Fi router at home. This is the same spectrum that your phone uses to connect to the internet.
Exactly.
It won't break your phone, your drone. It cannot physically do that. The only thing they can do is make it illegal for you to potentially fly your drone, in which case you decide what you want to do.
And they could potentially impact firmware updates coming through into the US. But folks, if you don't have a VPN by now, you're well behind the times, okay? But I want to get into, you know, what is this doing to the psyche of people looking into the future?
Well, of course, it's gonna put a damper on folks wanting to get into our hobby. You've got somebody who just came into this and say, oh, I want to fly drones, and they're gonna start reading the news and they're gonna start looking around and say, hey, I want to buy, what drone should I buy? We get this every day, multiple times a day. What drone should I buy? Well, DJI drone, go for a Mini, go for an Air, go for a Mavic. Well, guess what? There's no other option other than the DJI Mini, Air, and Mavic. There's no equivalent with any other brand, not even at a higher price. What does that do to somebody who just wants to start? Imagine you guys, when you first started, and you don't have access to a drone, period. Not even a more expensive drone. You're gonna look somewhere else. You're gonna go play RC cars. You're gonna go maybe build your own airplane with custom RC aircraft, and you're gonna go fly. I don't know, it is gonna put a big damper obviously on it. But my fear too is, I've been in aviation my whole adult life, and I've seen, we've talked to so many people at trade shows that come to us and said, I took the Part 107 course, and then I decided that I want to become a pilot, an airplane pilot. And then they become a private pilot. And you know what they do after this? They go to instrument commercial, and then become airline pilots. And we have young kids at schools that are not going to have access to a drone. What are they going to fly? What are the teachers at school going to be using to get the kids into aviation? And we know that I call it the gateway drug. The drones are the gateway drug to get to the next level. But you get folks into becoming airline pilots. This is going to affect us. Not tomorrow, not in 5 years, in 10, 15, 20 years. And we have a hard time already convincing people they should spend a lot of money to become airline pilots, and this is not going to help the pipeline at all. So yeah, that's the way I see it, is long term. I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And of course the public safety side is, we haven't even talked about this, but hurting the public safety agencies.
Yeah, and Wayne, I want to turn that back to you being a career first responder, is the impact that it has. Like me coming from a large department, we basically had very deep pockets, okay? So when you got to switch from a drone that will provide everything you need as a first responder for less than $10,000, now you're going to spend 3 times that amount. And small departments aren't going to be able to handle that.
Well, exactly, and you know, my background, volunteer fire service, paid career, budgets were always tight. That was 90% of what I did as a fire chief was budget. So here we have 80%, I believe it is, of the fire service in the United States is volunteer. And as a wise fire chief I had years ago said, we ain't got but 2 nickels to rub together. You know, when you have fire departments, they're already doing fish fries, bake sales, pancake breakfast, just to put fuel in the vehicles to respond to calls. That's just to put fuel in the vehicles. Now, for them to get another, what I can show you has been proven to be a life-saving tool, outpriced for them, is devastating. I mean, I can show you how personally I used it to save lives and property, and you know, and that was 10 years ago, and now here we are. You know, and I want to, if I can, step back also a second to what Greg was talking about. I am not, and I'm not, maybe I'm wrong, but in our history, I don't know of anything that has brought such rapid entrepreneurial opportunities. I think I said that wrong, but words are hard, right? I need more Monster. Nothing has brought, I mean, I have seen 19, 20-year-olds that have gone out, less than $50,000, started their own agricultural spraying business. And you know, we older ones love to talk about, you know, kids nowadays. I have two stay-at-home children in their 20s. But you know, to see that is phenomenal, and now we're going to just stomp on that. You know, we're going to take away freedom of choice of product, and then all of the businesses out there, and that's why I, you know, spent 2 weeks in Washington D.C., 2 separate weeks visiting congressional offices, trying to plead the industry's case, not just DJI, the industry, because this is so damaging to the industry. You know, it's being used to target 1 or 2 businesses, but it's hurting the entire industry in the United States. And so that's what gets me, and that's why I'm fighting.
Now, Wayne, one point I want to make, and Greg, you can probably back me up on this, that the majority of small business drone operations don't use enterprise drones. They use consumer-based drones, and right now, there's nobody in the United States building that type of drone.
And so there's no interest.
Right, there is no interest.
That's the worst part, because the blockage that we've seen at customs, that's happened, what, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now? In that amount of time, you would think somebody would say, there's an opportunity. And that's what we've been told by the so-called lobbyists, that this would create opportunities for American manufacturers to come in. And nobody at this table does not want American manufacturers to succeed. We want them to succeed. We want competition to DJI. Everybody wins when we have competition. But the fact of the matter is, they would prefer to sell a drone for $10,000, $15,000 to a public safety department, to the military, because it's just more lucrative for them. And they have no interest in having a warehouse full of broken minis and airs and Mavics. And we've done interviews. We've interviewed Brink, which is based here. We've interviewed Brink, and we've asked them, we said, you know, why not go into this? And they said, we don't want to have this warehouse full of drones that are broken. And I talked to a manufacturer recently, I'm not going to name them, but they said for the same cost, we can make this drone right here, we can make a Mavic, or for the same cost, we can make a drone that we're going to sell for $10,000 or $15,000. Which one would you do? It makes sense. There's no incentive for them to do it. And so we're going to be left with no option. That's really the bottom line. And that's what we've been, you know, telling people for a while. There's no option.
And it's only happening in the United States. So where does that put us up against the rest of the world? You know, I mean, we're going to start losing ground here because the innovation that DJI will continue to roll out will be available to everybody else but us. Now, I want to ask Jose, this definitely has to have an impact on your side of the fence, being retail, service, and support. So this definitely has an impact, I would imagine, correct?
Well, in the past 3 months, we definitely have grown our company. I mean, I can give you numbers right now. Since June or July of this year, our output for drone purchases have gone up almost 300 to 400%. Just because of the ban that exists. Now, being a smart guy, you know, you're gonna source these things someone else, right? And that's exactly what I did. You know, being a DJI agent for 6 years now, I just made some phone calls and I said, hey, I need these products. Can you get them in? He's like, no problem. Just purchase it, and then your customers will be happy. And that's what happened to us. Is because of the ban, you know. Wait, don't listen to this. Don't listen to this, Wayne. So yeah, we've been fortunate enough to get all the stock. Now, I can tell you primarily the three models that have been selling like crazy in the past 2 months is the Mavic 4 Pro, the Mini 5 Pro, and the Air 3S. Those are the staple models for hobbyists right now. And one of the things that we encounter as small businesses, the question is, are you guys legit? Is this a fake product? I always answer that, come on. You know, Greg and I were talking about last night, the advanced technology that DJI has right now. They're far beyond any other product that exists in the market. I think, you know, he mentioned 15 to 20, I said 10 to 12 years ahead of their time. And we don't foresee any manufacturer, especially in the US, catching up to that technology. Now with AI involved, it's superseding anything that we could conceive. So, yeah, so we've grown a lot, and then in reference to that, you know, it's good for us as a small business, and I invite other people to get into the business, because the other aspect of this, when you purchase a bunch of drones that are kind of banned in the US, then you have the repair side, right? You break the drone, where do you go? Where do you go? You know, luckily enough, we've been repairing drones for the last 6 years. You know, we started with the Phantom, and then we progressed from that. And now, the big dealers, you know, we have big enterprise dealers on the West Coast and the East Coast. They're calling me, hey, can you get parts? Yes, we can get parts. It takes a little bit of delay, but we are able to fix big enterprise drones. And you know, from a small drone to a bigger drone, there's not much of a difference, it's just the cost. But 90% of our output is all DJI, 95% of it.
And I would imagine, well, from my own personal point, is I went out and I purchased a Mavic 4 Pro, and of course, I went to a reputable dealer in South Korea. So my drone is actually, I guess in the industry, would be considered gray market, right? Because it wasn't purchased here in the US. And so why did I take that risk? I took that risk because I wanted to future-proof myself to some degree. Knowing that there might be an issue coming up, I wanted to upgrade the technology that I had. Now, the thing is, drones can't last forever. And you know, we have people that change over their technology every 3 or 4 years. Now, DJI would love you to change it every year, okay? But you know, and their engineers sure show that, okay? But you know, the wonder right now, the concern right now is, do you run out and buy it right now to make sure you have it, or do you wait to see what happens next?
Well, let me give you just a point. Like, who owns a Mavic 3 Pro or a Mavic 3? You guys. The difference between a Mavic 3 Pro and a Mavic 4 Pro is 10 times, 15 times better. I mean, the technology is outrageously good. I was even surprised. When you have a 360-degree camera on a drone and does all kinds of stuff, it's an advancement that nobody actually has at the moment, or I don't even see any other manufacturer having it. But again, you know, going back to Tom over here with which one do you want to buy, right? It's kind of hard to say because every year they're probably going to come out with the coolest stuff. It's like, remember the days when, you know, because I come from a cell phone background, right? I was in the industry for 25 years. When you first got your, who remembers the iPhone 3GS? Remember that? When we went from the shitty phone, first phone, to the 3GS, you're like, oh, wow, look at this advancement. It's kind of like that. And then the 4 came out, and then, you know, it jumps in technology. They're just amazing.
And you know, look, this is going to continue to impact us going forward. But the one thing I want to stress again is, we do have a voice. We have to leverage that voice. We have to leverage that voice as a community. Now, you know, we talk about, you know, the enterprise side of the fence. Yeah, there are options out there. Are they? And there's some very good options too that compete with DJI. But we're talking about at the 60, 70, 80,000 plus range. But now when it comes down to like the small businesses using Mavic 3, Mavic 4 Pros, right? Using the mini series, using, I think the Air 3S is one of the best drones out there, right? But now the enthusiast really has to be wondering what's next. And I want to ask Bob, because Bob basically represents a community that all they use are consumer-based drones.
Thank you. Yes, as most of you know, I started Old Farts with Drones as as kind of a joke. Okay, thank you. Sorry to blast you out. I think my ears are going, so I have to talk louder so I think you hear me. But the joke continued. I totally believed I was going to get 50 or 60 members joining this group, and today we're at 27,300 members. We are in 102 countries in the world. Las Vegas is the #1 city in Old Farts with Drones, but the #2 city is Sydney, Australia, believe it or not. So I mean, it's a worldwide.
And they can still buy DJI drones.
And yes, they still can buy. So I do want to say what I would like to say here is that everybody sitting in this room needs to find out who your representative is in the U.S. Congress. Okay, there's a lot of ways of easily doing that. You also need to visit droneadvocacyalliance.com. This organization, which Greg is a founding member of, and Vic is a founding member of, and a variety of other people, but they have some templates to get you started in writing a letter, writing an email, or making a phone call to your representative's office to get this 1709 extended or completed and happening. This is something that, as a hobbyist, I'm mainly a hobbyist in my drone endeavors here, but this is something that we're going to lose. I want to have the 3rd Vegas Drone Meetup next year, and I want to have a reason to have a 3rd Vegas Drone Meetup, and I want this to continue, and we want the hobby to continue, the recreational aspect of drones to continue. So I'm begging you all to make an effort to make a phone call, to make an email, to actually type a letter and put a stamp on it and put it in the mail. I mean, these kinds of actions do get recognized. And, fortunately, I've been able to talk to all of our Nevada Congress people and Senate people. And, so, I mean, every time they see me, they go, oh, that's the drone guy, now. So, I mean, it's an effort that we all need to do. Okay, so I beg you all today, tonight, tomorrow, send an email, send a letter, get on the phone, call your representative, say, I want to, we need to extend 1709 of the NDAA 25 bill. We need to extend section 1709. That's what I would have to say.
Thanks, Bob. Okay. Go ahead, Jose. No, what I wanted to segue into is saying, again, our community, we have a voice. But the larger we grow our community, the louder our voice gets. And with that, I want to segue into how to increase diversity in our community. And with that, I would like to bring the mic over okay? And basically talk about, you know, how we, as an organization, support others coming in, specifically women. Now, we're very fortunate today. Bob, how many?
I think we have 14.
14 women pilots. And Desi, you've been trying to advocate more and more women to join this because there is no barrier here that I see.
Right. So the one thing that I always want to do is, you just start with something and then ask everyone here. And I want to see a show of hands. How many people think women think different? Come on, right? Do I dare ask you a question? Right? Tap into that. That's what I want to focus on. Tap into that. Because when you're thinking about taking your drone business into the future and what you're going to do, how you're going to build on it, tap into that resource. That is a huge resource. And women can fly, yes, we can fly a drone. We don't realize it sometimes, but there's no reason why we can't, especially when we got our hands on a DJI, right? But we bring so much value to an organization that you need to be able to open those doors and tap into that. So that is one point that I want to bring up, and I'm quite sure if Deb wants to take the mic, but I still have it. So, but I want to piggyback on something that Greg mentioned earlier about building the future. We have to build the future. And that pipeline starts with STEM, with youth. I personally can share stories of Girls Take Flight program. We have a huge inventory of DJI drones, and these young ladies come into this class not even thinking that they can fly, take the steps. But once they do, it opens incredible doors beyond just flying a drone. Now they've learned engineering. They've learned that aviation is a career path. I have young ladies that have started timid and shy, and all of a sudden now they're taking flight lessons. They're getting their PPL. It's amazing that they can go out and fly and learn about aviation. And we want aviation to continue. But they also find out that, oh, it's more than that. There's GIS. There's all these other career paths that they can do. And it starts with a drone. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Deb's going to share. I know you're going to share about the difference from the women this year, to the other women last year.
Yeah. So I'm Deb Andrews. I live here in Las Vegas. I do work for Metro Police, so keep your comments to yourself. We do have a drone unit there, so I just wanted to share that last year I came to the first drone meetup because I've been flying drones since 2015. My first drone, I think it was called a QX3, and you had to use an RC controller, and that was a bitch to fly. And then the mini.
So the controller was female then?
Okay. Yeah, and so I did that for a while, but I just really didn't enjoy it so much, and then the OG Mini came out, the original one. I got my hands on that, and I was hooked ever since. So I have 7 or 8 drones now in my collection. I would have more if I could buy them, but so anyhow.
We have them for sale.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do, but my husband's like, another drone? You don't need one? I know, they're all different, that's what I tell them. So I came last year, and I just didn't really know what to expect, but what I did notice was the majority of attendees last year were men. And when we transitioned over to the park, I noticed that there were some women around, so I went around and talked to some of them, and I'm like, hey, what kind of drone do you fly? And the majority of the answer I got was, oh, I'm here with my husband, or I'm here with my boyfriend, I don't fly. I'm like, well, why don't you? And the consensus was, oh, it's too hard. I don't know how. You know, my husband says I'm gonna crash it, you know, whatever. So it clicked right then and there for me that we need to get more women exposed to it and learn to fly. It's not hard to do. You don't need to be intimidated. And so I started a Facebook group, not as big as Bob's, but lady droners, trying to get more women involved. I want to do community meetups throughout the year and just get more women and girls exposed to drones, because once it clicks, it's like, wow, that's amazing. So case in point, at work, we have a drone unit, it's getting bigger. We did test for drone pilots, so there's a career path right there. And I actually tested. We had probably 100 people in there taking the test. I counted 3 women, myself included, out of the 100. And we have 2 women on the list. I'm one of them, and there's a second one that's also on the list. So the next group that's being hired will have women pilots on staff. So that's just, to me, you know, amazing that anyone can do this. Any of the guys can do it, the women can do it. I want to get the girls to learn about it and see that there's more to it than just flying.
Well, you know, you've been involved with us this past summer as we got in front of, we were fortunate and we got in front of 700 kids this summer with the city of Henderson. And just being there, I can tell you, there were more girls than boys,
Yes.
okay? And they were all totally engaged. Now, Vaughn, myself, Chris James, we've been involved in VEX competitions, the aerial competitions, and I think we see the same thing there. You know, the young girls that are involved are totally engaged. And the great thing about those VEX robotics competitions is they have to all work as a team and do everything from the engineering, the programming, to the actual operation of the drone. And it's very gratifying to see that. Now, I would imagine the women that attended last year in support of their husbands, and those husbands that say, hey, I don't want you flying, you might crash it. I bet you those women have been witnesses to their husbands crashing their drones, because I know my wife has, okay? Now my wife is my VO, and the great thing about that is she can't be compelled to testify against me in court, okay? But there is no barrier here. It really isn't. I think the key for us is we gotta get into that STEM environment. We have to get there early and let these young girls and young boys know that there are career paths here. You know? Vaughn, I want to turn the mic over to Vaughn real quick, because Vaughn, you are very much involved in STEM education. And so what's your take on diversifying this?
So last year I was hired as a consultant. If you guys ever heard of Drone Legends as a program, it's a great STEM program from one of the local charter schools in town. And they're an aviation focused. In fact, their entire high school, one of their curriculum is with AOPA, which is the Association of Airline Pilots. But we incorporated in there, so we had, instead of doing a club, we integrated that program into the entire 9th grade. But the entire is only like 40 people. But it was interesting because we did a club. A lot of the girls that were in the grade probably would have never touched a drone. They were very timid. They didn't want to, but by the end of the day, as we were starting to work some of the FPV, and in the high school level, it's an FPV racing. In fact, the Drone Legends has the only US high school level drone racing league. But the girls were actually, you know, trying to get on. If nobody else wanted to jump on the computer that we could use for training, they're the ones getting up there and trying to do it. So it was great to see that from that perspective.
And you know, again, the motive here is to widen this environment that really, I still do not know of any barrier preventing women from getting involved in droning. And the one thing I can say is we need women in droning because they're a lot more vocal than us men in droning. And we need their voice. We definitely need their voice. So I'm very happy of our group growing the way it has. And actually, you know, the members on our own committee reflecting that. So, guys, we really appreciate you just being here, and all the women who signed up, thank you so much. It really makes a big difference. Oh, sorry.
If I could take a second, because this is what we should be talking about, not all that other garbage earlier. I wish I'd be doing the real part of my job, this. But some key points on that, I keep hearing, you know, the woman was timid and shy, the girl was timid and shy. And as a fire chief, one of the things I recognized was recruiting women. And, you know, I was in a male, as you know, dominated society of, well, she can't pull me out of the building. Well, I knew a lot of men that can't. I mean, that's what I was known for before I got into drones, was going around teaching firefighters to save other firefighters. And you know what? It's not as easy to carry a unpackaged civilian, let alone a packaged firefighter, right? It was about technique. So I prided myself as a fire academy instructor on, I can teach women to do the job and the techniques. And by the way, I would see women in a physical agility that would exhaust themselves. And I would see men that would get to a little tough part of it and give up. Who do I want? I want the woman that's not going to give up. She's going to stay with me, right? So, as I would pride myself on I can teach women the technique, it wasn't until I became a member of Women in Fire, a female firefighter association, that I learned I'm still teaching a man's idea of how to fight fire. And as I watched the women show the women the technique, I realized I'm still causing problems, roadblocks. And so that's where, get back my ADD, back to the girl, the woman felt timid and shy. That's why the women organizations are so important, because you're bringing that woman's perspective to them, number one. Number two. Number one is they're going to be less intimidated by a woman showing them how to fly than a man. They're less worried about screwing up in front of a man. Even the most kindest, gentlest man is still going to have a little bit of an intimidation factor that a woman can break that barrier down. And so that's why it's so important to have female instructors, organizations out there. And then I'll also say, as an industry, it's important to have that woman's perspective, because in my own experience, my wife has saved me tons of money. Saved my life I don't know how many times, especially from that car a mile down the road that pulled out in front of us that we almost hit had she not gasped and grabbed the dashboard. So, that different perspective, I had females on my command staff that when we were discussing issues, they brought a perspective that we as the men didn't think about, that changed the dynamic in a lot of ways, and I think that, again, is why it's so important. And then also, real quick, STEM is huge with me as well. And we're not just talking, it's important because we're talking about drones and flying drones and pilots, but as Greg mentioned, these are the future manufacturers, engineers, software designers. I mean, yes, we may be introducing them to wiggling sticks on a small drone, but it is, as several have mentioned, it's sparking that aviation community interest that leads them down the line to innovate, and that's what we need and why our STEM is. And so I encourage everybody to get involved in STEM programs in your community and helping them out.
Absolutely. And having people like Deb and Desiree with our group gives those girls and those women somebody to identify with. And that is so critical, so critical. Now let's turn around and bring it home to Nevada, okay? We talked about, you know, having some support, right? Now, we've talked a lot about the enthusiast arena, but also we have small businesses that rely on this technology, and they need a voice also, and they're coming from a slightly different perspective that us hobbyists are coming from. And with that, you know, we know Vic and Kenji started the Drone Service Provider Alliance, okay? But that's across the country, and they're trying to advocate and lobby in the various realms, okay? But what about the local communities? And so we have somebody with us, and it's one half of the Operation Victory's not here right now, but Victory's also a co-founder. And you know, we have the, is he here?
He's back.
Oh, he's made it? What is he doing back there? Get up here. Okay, so, there he is, over there, okay? But, he's getting ready to go over to the park for us. But with that, yeah, I want to ask a few things. The first is, the first thing I want to mention is that Born and Victory co-founded the Southern Nevada Drone Association, I'm sorry, I'll get it right. The Southern Nevada Association of Drone Service Providers, okay? So if you could you tell us what the mission of that group and why you guys started that?
Yeah, there's Victory. And Victory's been running the drone meetup at Tech Alley for quite a while now. That's how I actually met a lot of the guys, the old farts and drones and everything. But the biggest thing, I'm a small service provider, so it's me. In fact, I was telling Greg in the business class, I never want to have a W-2, so I'm staying pretty small. But what I see and what I worry about is I try to do things right. And how many local drone service providers do we have here in the audience now? Just raise your hand if you're a Part 107 business here in town, right?
Right here.
Now, how many of you have...
Trey, you're close enough.
Close enough?
You're close enough.
And so how many of you actually gone through and got a film permit or a permit for flying drones in City of Las Vegas, City of Henderson, Clark County, City of North Las Vegas, or Boulder City? So again, and how many Google what drone laws there are? So there's like one law that applies to flying drones, and it has to do with special events, and it's more of along the lines, if you chat GPT it takes you to the low level, but if you back up a bit, it's about, oh, you're filming for Jason Bourne, and if you have a drone, then you need to get this film permit. But it's looking in a different way. So, but there's a lot of talk. When I talk to people in the special events at Metro, when I talk to people, hey, these laws people are talking about these laws coming up that will affect us as drone service providers. The other thing along it, drone service providers are not one and the same. A person just doing artwork. You got a guy who does just artwork. We have a person who does utility mapping. You have your regular photography people. So there's very different niches, and the laws for what might affect them are going to affect many other people. So what I want to start, the work that Vic Moss is doing is amazing, and so we don't want to replace that. But a previous Speaker of the House said all politics are local. And if you read, everybody's gotten a Lance or a drone zone authorization, right? Every Part 107 person has got it, because everybody has, raise your hand if you've gotten that. Yeah, almost everybody. If you read the paragraph that says, this authorization does not constitute a waiver of any state law or local ordinance. So I've heard people say many times, oh, I've got a federal FAA, I can do what I want. Even the thing that comes from the federal government, whether it's drone zone or Lance, says, no, you have to follow local ordinances. So it's one of those things, so we want this organization to engage, but our core values and core things are safety, education, ethics, and professionalism. So that's how we're going to tie in and try to be a really good organization, so the lawmakers understand the people that are part of this organization are people that are serious about safety, about education, about making drone service providers in this Southern Nevada be people that are focused, so when you have something going on, or somebody, it's just a matter of time before some yahoo flies his drone on the strip, crashes, a bird hits it, it crashes into a car and it kills somebody, and they say no more drones flying whatsoever. So if we can make this group a local group of dedicated professionals, then they'll say, well, everybody who isn't part of the association, who hasn't gone through and doesn't have that excellence mindset, well, they can't fly, but people that are part of this organization and have gone through the training, have gone through things, well, then they can, fly, or even eventually say, oh, if it takes 10 days to get a film permit, but if you're part of this association, you get it in 3, because you've shown that you've got a professional ethos.
Yeah, and of course, exactly. And so those local communities and the local government will look at that entity as representing responsible business providers. Now when we say local, we said bring it back to Nevada, but those of you that are not from Nevada, we want you to bring it back home. So we want to start seeing a Southern California Association of Drone Service Providers, a Utah Association of Small Business Drone Operators. Wherever you are from, because if we do that, we grow our voice. We grow our voice. And by the way, I just want to translate for, I guess it's Greg, Yahoo. Stands for "Don't be that guy," right? Is that the same? I wasn't too sure about that.
So to that end, I just want to add real quick. I'm going to have a QR code that'll take you to the website that we're designing and going through if you have an interest. One of the member categories I have is people that are not here, because as I'm going through this path, if you will, or this journey, we're making it a 501c6. And if you're familiar with nonprofit organizations, a 501c3 is like, I'm gonna save kittens that are lost, right? You're helping the community. But a 501c6 is a nonprofit helping other businesses. Your chambers of commerce are most likely our 501c6s, and VITMOS's DSBA is a 501c6. So that's kind of what we are. So I encourage you, if you want, feel free to go on. Everything that I learn as we do stuff, our bylaws and stuff, I'll have for the members to be able to see. So if you're trying to do something in your area, you can kind of see what we do and maybe learn from our mistakes or give us some things. So that's the way I'll try to help the community, but I'm really focused on us being local.
And Victory, with that, you're a working pro in the industry, and you yourself have seen how others can screw things up for you, and getting that word out there. And what are the main obstacles that you see in operating that small business locally, okay, without having others to help mentor? I mean, you're a mentor in our world. That's the way you've been running that Tech Alley event, okay? You and I have regular debates, okay? But you have become a model for other small businesses in the area, and those of you that took his class yesterday can tell, this gentleman here knows his stuff. So we really appreciate you being involved. But why did you, get into a partnership with this guy? That's what I'm asking. What led to that?
Yeah, no, so thank you. First of all, I just want to say the food here is really, really good. I had this sunset place, still a popular. So I'm the founder of Area AI. We're a software company based here in Las Vegas. We started out of UNLV. The goal was simple: computer software to visualize all of the data around the world. And we wanted to start with a community of drone pilots capturing that data we got. So we figured we needed a community. We're going to actually capture that data. So we started the Las Vegas Drone Meetup group at Tech Alley, the Monkey Meetup group, in September 2022. We just meet and talk about everything: technology, education, policy, and business. I think that's probably one of the most important things is the consistency in getting together and getting stuff done. Doing events, sharing ideas, talking about the things we care about, policy we care about, and just talking about business too. So we've had the privilege of having meetups at Tech Alley, which is also another event of essentially an event where all the businesses, events could meet and talk about technology. So we meet there once a month, third Saturdays of the month. And Bun happened to have showed up as Tom as well to one of our events, and we have conversations all the time around DJI technology, mapping, spraying, all kinds of things related to drones. So in that spirit, obviously we realized some of the things going on lately with drone technology and everything. But we needed to organize a little more to create a pipeline where we could represent all of these diverse aspects of drone technology locally here. And we've had the privilege of bringing so many people together. Folks, since we started from university, professors, students, that is also very important, specifically education. So I just want to shout out Pilot Institute here as well, continuing to push education for this industry. So we need to be able to set the education for that next generation to be able to come in and participate as well. So yeah, I mean, when he brought the idea out, we all know the trouble, so might as well just do it. That's what it is.
And I kind of remember the impetus for this was Bourne was trying to share information with the group about, hey, do you know Henderson requires this, and North Las Vegas that, and Clark County has this. So we had so many layers. And I remember somebody in the group saying, oh, I'm just going to keep doing it until somebody catches me. And unfortunately, while in fire service, sometimes we say it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, okay? Here, ignorance is no defense, okay? So just check into your local areas. If I'm not mistaken, I think there are, if you're an enthusiast, you can get a permit for $50 a year to be able to fly in these parks and different, you gotta research this. And sometimes it's tough for people to find it on their own, and that's why a group like this, from the small business side, is so important. And that's why a group like this is equally important, because we can help guide those people down the right path.
And I also just want to point out, in fact, how I got into the meetup was from Don Hill. I just want to do a shout out to his website. So right now, because there's a vacuum in it, right? So for this area, his website is probably the most comprehensive website for where you can fly, the laws. And that's where I started going down the path to find the different laws. But then this group is, pardon?
Find the different jurisdictions.
Yes, yep.
On that side of the street,
Yep.
go to those people on that side of the street.
Yeah.
And that, but it doesn't really touch into, as a business owner,
Right.
what are you responsible, the insurance requirements, all those different things that Greg brought up in the class yesterday, apply when you're getting permits or not getting permits and you're doing jobs. That puts it into a whole different realm. So our focus for this association, like if you're going to be the main member of is you have to have a business license in Southern Nevada. But we're happy for other people, like I said, to join non-geographical members just to see what we're doing, how we're doing it, and we'll put our stuff out there. I'm a big believer in transparency, so everything I do, our bylaws, how we put it together, a code of conduct, will all be there for everybody to see. Here's what we're doing, and we're going to have niche leaders. So people in a certain environment are going to be leaders, and I'm looking for people in the local area that want to be a niche leader for an area. We have a person, he's not here, Charles. He is a utility. He's probably mapped most of the utilities, so he'd be my niche leader for utility mapping, stuff like that. So, yeah.
So, this is what we tried to bring to you today was a couple of different views, okay? And, we want to hear your voice as well. So with that, we'd like to open it up. I'm looking for Isaiah. There he is. I'm looking to open it up to anyone who might have a question for anyone on this panel. Just raise your hand. Anyone?